Okay, so this is a stoneware clay. It's a mid-fire clay, and I weigh the clay out to 1.25 pounds, and they're all weighed out. I smack it down, and I make sure it's on the bat so it doesn't fly off, and I'm going to center it. And when I center it, I'm just pushing down on the clay, and I'm pushing to the side into the center, and that the clay will have nowhere to go but in the center, hence centering. It's easy for me having the wheel at the fastest speed, but that's basically the only time that I have it at that speed. Now that it's centered, I'm going to take my 2 fingers, I'm going to go right down the center. So now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to pull it wide. And so I pull it about like that, and I'm going to take my rib to compress the bottom. Some people, you can use your fingers. I like using the rib there. And now I'm going to just cone it in a little, and I'm going to use what's called a claw grip. My thumb will be on the outside, 2 fingers on the inside. I hold the rim also. You do not want to come over the rim of the mug. So I want to stop right there and take my hand away. And then now I'm gonna make a pull. And I'm not really pulling the clay. It is compressing the clay together. And so when I push the clay together from the inside and the outside, the clay has nowhere to go but up. So I'm gonna press it there. I'm holding on the inside, and it comes right up. And as I come up, I try to slow the wheel down a little bit more. And then it's up. It's pretty much the height that I want, but now is the time where I would shape it. And so I like to have a little belly on the bottom. And this is the time where you can really play around with your shapes. And I can take I have a metal rib here. If I take this metal rib, and I just kind of hold it gently, and I'm actually taking a lot of the moisture out of the clay. And then make sure that there's no water inside. So I'm going to clean that up. Take my little chamois, and I wrap it around the rim. I don't really push down. I'm just wrapping it and getting any of the grit that's in the clay. It will just smooth it out and make it nicer to take a drink from. And then I have a tool here that I'm just going to trim the bottom off here and a little bit off the side. And that little groove there gives me a guide to put my wire through. Wire and then that is that mug. Now we're going to trim some mugs, and I'm going to take this mug, and this is a foam bat. I'm going to put it in the center, and I want to make sure it's in the center. So I'll turn the wheel slowly, and I'll use my finger. I can just hold it in one spot, my finger, and I can see that it's right in the center. And then I'm going to use this. This is a trimming tool. It comes in different sizes, and depending on what I'm throwing, these mugs are big enough where I can just put it right there in the center. And then I'm going to take this tool, my favorite trimming tool, and I hold this down with my finger, trim the sides off here. That's usually how I start off. And I'll trim it right up to that trimming tool. And then I'll go up on the sides. And this one I'm going to have a foot on it. So I'm going to use this tool, which has a little square, and that I'm going to go into the side so I can make my foot. So I'll just go like this, make a foot. And it's nice to have a foot because when we wax the mug, there's a line to go to. And again, I can pick up the mug and I can put my hand inside and feel, okay, where is it thick? And where do I need to take more off? When I make my foot ring, I try to put my, my tool on my thumb, because even if it's off-centered a little bit, I'm still following the curve. Again, and back to the other tool. Take my sponge and just dampen that. I like to have my foot a little bit rounded instead of squared off. So there we go. So I can check it out, and if I like it, then I leave it like that. So now we're going to pull handles for the mugs that we made. So I cut off a piece of clay and I'm going to roll it into a cone shape like this. And then I'm going to wet my hands, dip it in, and I'm going to pull it down. Like 1, 2, turn it, and just keep pulling. It kind of comes around. It's pretty rounded. So then what I do is I like it kind of flat. So I'm going to take my 2 fingers and just kind of go this way and turn it the other way. And it has more of a flatter edge. It's just easy to hold on to a mug like that. Sometimes I'll just take my thumb and just make a carve like that. And then I let them sit there to dry up a little bit, stiffen up. I have a couple of different tools. This is my scoring tool. This particular one, I'm going to score it halfway. My handle is going to start here on the mug and come down. So I score and I slip 3 times on this mug. That's generally what I do. I'll slip and score, and then put a little bit down here, and then I'll put more slip on there because I want it really roughed up. I set it down for a minute, and then I'm going to pick a handle. I'll take this one, and you see how I had this big block here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that block off on an angle so that this is what's going to be attached to my mug. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to slip it, and I'm going to score it. And I can usually tell how long I want my handles to be. I want my hand to fit in there, like at least 2 or 3 fingers, so I think I can cut it right around there, again on an angle there. And I'll dip it in and score it. Now I'm going to take my mug and attach it, and I just kind of twist it. So I'm twisting it, just very gently twisting it. It's moving, and then all of a sudden it's harder to move. I can't move it. So I know it's in there, kind of like a Velcro. And I'm going to take this, and I like to smooth my handle down here. I'll hold that up there. Just smooth it in. And I look at it, try to look at it downward like this, because I want the handle to be straight when I put it down. And so once I know that it's straight, I'll do the same thing. I'll just wiggle this a little bit and tap it in. And so I smooth it out over here. It's connected. So, and then the other thing I do is I take a little bit of clay and I roll it out and I pinch it into a triangle. So it's kind of like a triangle shape, and I put it right there. And then I twist it around that way and around the side. And now I smooth it that way into the handle, and then the other way into the mug. And then I'll take my brush and just make sure everything's nice and clean. And there we go. And there's one. Then I'll put it upside down to dry. After they've dried out completely, I have put them in the kiln, and they're all fired to 1824 degrees, which is an 06 cone. So what that does is it almost becomes like a terracotta. And here I'm going to take the glaze, and I'm just going to have it run through. It doesn't have to be neat. And once that's on there, I'm going to wipe it off. This is a yellow, and I'm just going to start painting here. And the thing about when you paint on glazes or under glazes is that you got to put a few coats on them. So this one I'm going to use wax on. So what I do is I take the wax, draw a line up. I'm going to make it like a tree, and I'm just going to go down. So I just go around, and you can see what happens when it hits the wax. It won't stay there. I am waxing my bottom, so you don't necessarily have to wax it. I just find it easier for me because I glaze so many pieces. This is my white glaze here that I'm going to put on all the inside of the mugs on the inside. And I mix it up with a toilet bowl brush. Fill up this container here. Just wipe the bottom. Okay. Pour it in. And if it gets on the side, I like to do the first one like that because I want to get it off. And I can wipe that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into this cup. And as I'm pouring, I'm turning, and so that it's all in there. Okay. And I'm going to dip this into the green glaze, just to show you what happens when it hits the wax too. The first thing I'm going to do is just dip it in just a little bit, and then take it out. And I want that to dry up a little, and it dries pretty quick. So now I'm going to stick my hand in there and just go up to that line. And you can see, and you see where the wax is, how it runs off there. So now I can take my sponge and just wipe that off pretty easily.